to Convos with TK, where we chit chat with the most interesting people in the world who have interesting stories to tell. And today is no exception. She's the woman behind pitching and securing artists and everything and anything that goes behind the entertainment scenes. She's the Olivia Pope of Hollywood. Please, and she's also the CEO of Echoing Soundz. Please welcome Miss Echo Hattix. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much, TK. It's awesome to see you and start the year off with you. It's amazing. Thanks so much for having me.
No problem. Thanks for making some time to come on. I know you busy. But let's get into like the first thing. This is what I saw because we were supposed to do something a while ago,
Right.
and I think you got COVID.
I did.
So thank goodness,
Yeah.
like everything's okay. You
Yes.
good to go. But then I saw this article pop up. I was like, oh, okay. This is big. So I saw the article pop up, like one of the biggest heavyweights in the hip hop industry. And then I see, because you have the purple hair. That's you
That's
all
the
day.
signature.
That's the
Shout out
signature
to
right
my
there.
girl Tracy, who does your braids and fades. Yes, that's the signature.
There it is. So tell me about like the phone call or the email or the text or the DM, how you got the news and how it all
Yeah.
came together.
Yeah, it's really, really amazing. I just have to thank the editor-in-chief, Vanessa Satin. She called me and she said, "Hey, listen, you know, we really, really recognize like who you are and how much you've moved the culture. And we are creating this board, award show board for Double XL." And I just thought, wow, it's brilliant of her to even come up with it and create it. The same thing as the board of the Grammys, the Oscars, but for our culture, hip hop culture, with the Bible of hip hop, Double XL just made great sense. And so she's telling me about it, and we talk all the time about, different ideas, concepts, and pitching. And so I just thought she was flattering me, giving me a compliment. I'm like, girl, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. She's like, yeah. So, let me know what date you're going to be available for the photo shoot. I'm like, wait, what? Let's roll that back. Run that back. What photo shoot for who? Because I'm thinking, like, I didn't pitch anybody yet on this call. She was like, for you. I was like, for me? She's like, yeah. I was like, wow, that's huge. I was like, so I'm actually gonna have a photo shoot. She was like, yeah. I was like, wow, I'm never really on that end of the lens. I'm on the opposite behind the scenes. So I was like, wow. It was first like, do I do this? Yeah, because positioning is everything, and that's just kind of like the life I live. I always want to make sure like my clients, the artists, are put in a place where they feel comfortable. And I'll tell you about a couple stories of sometimes it actually makes them a little bit uncomfortable when you are the person that walks them on the red carpet and they're shouting your name more than the artist's
Ooh,
name. It's one of
yeah.
those things. So I was like, wait, no, I got to do this. Thank you so much, Vanessa. I appreciate you. And yeah, I'll send you, I'll let you know like what dates or whatever, because I thought I was going to be out of town, but it all worked out. And so that day came in the room with some of the definitely biggest heavyweights. Another incredible feeling. First face that I saw was Big Boy Power 106. And I was like, whoa, this is
Yeah.
definitely major. It really became real to me. And for sure, honored and humbling experience all at the same time, because I've done, I don't know, 2,000 plus video shoots and photo shoots, over the years. But for the very first time since I've been in business, the lights were on me.
There it is. And
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to get into. Like, we have, and that's what we were talking about before we started recording. We're in this era now, or you could say like 15 years ago, people were like, okay, well, I want to be a rapper. I want to be a basketball player. I want to do this. Or they moved to LA to be in the industry. But
Uh-huh.
there's so many things in the industry that you can do. And I don't think people really realize it till it's too late. And I kind of want to like explore what you do and how you got into it, because you do a lot of things like people just think. And of course, with social media, you have artists like I do it all myself. But then you get to a point where it's like, if you doing big time, you can't do it all yourself. So
You
kind of
gotta have a
explain,
team.
yeah, what you do.
Absolutely. Well, I got into the business initially as a writer, journalist, for a magazine in the Bay Area called Roots Magazine. No longer exists now, but I saw that there was a need, and I always, even just growing up, I was like a little gossip girl, junior high, high school. So I always like to be the first, to know some information. I always like to be the first to like put people on to, what's hot, what's new, what's fly, right? And so the magazine initially is how I thought, like, okay, this is my way and my contribution of being able to distribute information to people on a national level. And so I did that for a while, and then I got a call from this guy, and he was like, "What's up, Weebles? I hear, you got talent, you got this thing about you, and I think you're more like a publicist." And I was like, "Wait, why? No, I don't like publicists." And so he was like, "What? What you mean? Why? Why don't?" He's like, I said, "Well, oh, they're always like partying, they talk a lot, they have to be with the who's who, they're always on the scene." And he was like, "Yeah, that's you." I was like, "What? No, that's not me." I had publicist friends, but I didn't put myself in that category. But we were all being together, hanging together, and doing those things together. He was like, "Well, what's your address? I'm going to send you something." So he sent me the biggest check that I had ever gotten so far at that time, being in the industry. And he called me. He's like, "You got the package?" I said, "Yeah." He was like, "Okay, so look, you ready to start?" I said, "Absolutely." And that person was E-40. E-40 was
Wow.
actually the person who saw in me my talent, my skill initially, when I didn't see it, for myself. I kind of judged and categorized publicists in a way when naturally I love the people. I always say my favorite subject are people or humans, and I have always believed that everyone has a story. So and coming from Memphis, Tennessee, having Southern hospitality, I think those two different things complement each other. Really liking people, really loving people, and being connected to them graduated me at a level that I've seen some people be in this industry before, but they just don't really like people. They just
Mhm.
don't, it's just like a job to them. But I have genuine interest. So I think that, it's really helped me and rewarded me in this area. And so I was under this umbrella for a very long time until around 2010, as just being a publicist.
Mhm.
Um, Two things happened. One, I had to gain the confidence to be able to say, like, okay, I'm a publicist, being a journalist for a while. In fact, I had also was writing for Double XL too for a while back in the day, like really like truly like 20 years, like college, that era. So I got the confidence, and then after getting the confidence, being able to have the roster and credibility on the outside publicly. So two
Mhm.
things: internally, the confidence, and then externally, the roster of being. And I always say, like, I got in the game through E-40. He put me on, and then I say, Twista, because I represented Twista like back in the day. Um, Maybe national. And then from there, Snoop Dogg and DJ Quick gave me my local, like California, like regional, like stamp of approval and
Right.
credibility. And CeeLo Green made myself and my company, Echoing Soundz International, with Nas Barkley Project. So those things, in a span of like 10 years, allowed us to segue into something bigger and better, and also the experience where we recategorized the company and rebranded as a campaign management firm that
Mhm.
offers services beyond public relations. We were doing marketing for so many years, but not actually charging. But again, that's where the confidence was in there
Right.
too, putting those ideas out, testing those ideas, seeing what the give and the take will work and what did not work. So basically being a student of the industry, the game, whatever you want to call it, and gaining that confidence. Whereas we're like, okay, you know what? We know what to do now. We know how to do it. We know how to put together red carpet events. We know how to get the people out, whether it's the general public, the VIPs, or the media. We know what to do. Let's offer more services at a higher rate. And, we felt like, they will come, and they have. So campaign management put us in a position where there was a unique service that we offered, and that was crisis communications.
Mm-hmm.
Crisis communication cases happen. Most of the work is done really, truly, even more behind closed doors. So several people over the last 10 years that we've represented are people that everybody knows, but we can't say. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's for the protection of the crisis that they're in. So I want to say about 50% of our business has come over the last 10 years from helping people out when they needed it most, in the most discreet way.
So, man, so many questions. First off, you dropped a bunch of names that everybody's familiar with, which is like insane because, you started off with E-40. And the
Hmm.
thing is, I found in this industry, actually not even this in general, like networking, whether you're a people person or not, just knowing how to network with people to
Hmm.
get to where you want to go or where you need to go is important. And
Right.
so how
Absolutely.
you go from like essentially like all the heavy hitters in the West Coast, like what was your main thought process in like, work with E-40? Were you thinking like long term, or like what was your process in when you were in the trenches?
Well, I kept hearing about this thing called the industry. I didn't know what it was, but I was like, I got to get in. I got to get in because I'm out here in California. When I got here, I knew one person, and that
Mhm,
person was my mentor, Tashawn Macon. And we got a place together, and I was like, I got to get in, and I got to be this publicist out here, in a world of where it's Coke bottle. I wasn't the person that could go to the club, wink at the security, and get in, because I'm not a size 2, 3, whatever that meant. I had
mhm.
to create another way for myself to make myself valuable and cut some corners. And I figured it out. And just being a plus size woman out here, I recognize one thing. It allowed me to always be seen and remembered. So I threw literally, I'll say I throw my weight around, because I'm usually the largest woman in the room. And so guess what that
Mhm.
does? You can't really forget me. Then I
Mm.
always had braids. So that's always been the crown. They've been different colors like throughout the years, but I started using like my size and my weight for me in a place of remembrance, because one thing I found out in Hollywood, the memory's short out here.
Mm,
People,
mhm.
they meet you, they're like, "Oh, I don't I think they'll lie. Yeah, you know what? I think I do know you. I think I remember." But I know it was no mistaking on me, for sure and for a fact. So, I use those things, and I use that specifically to um just make sure that there was relatable moments with people as soon as I got the opportunity to,
Mhm.
and really talk with people and not talk at them. So every single like major name that I came in contact with, like I know how to befriend someone immediately. Why? Because I really want to know what's up with you.
Mhm.
I really do find interest in those things, and that Southern hospitality, as I spoke of before, it's stuck in it, and it's been working.
Yeah, it's crazy, especially in the industry. Like I sometimes forget with my non-entertainment friends. I talk about like the industry. Like, well, what is this? I don't know how to
It's
explain
hard
it.
to explain, right?
It's one of those things where it's just like you just have to know. I guess I don't know. It's a weird thing, but I
Yeah,
agree with
it
you.
is.
So now you've kind of established yourself as the name, and for me this is like an education lesson for me, because when I think of publicists, there's like so many different, because you have people at the publicist kind of just controls what gets out for like an album release or a movie.
Right.
But then you have like a publicist is like, no, they're just trying to rebrand themselves. So what is kind of like your definition of a publicist, and then how do you get, like, if you're talking to somebody who's interested in that, how do they get into becoming a publicist?
A couple different things. A publicist, I'm gonna start by saying the very first thing, or people that are looking to have, a publicist on their team is they have to be a fan of whatever the product is, whoever the person is. They have to be a fan, they have to be a cheerleader from the beginning. You have to
Mm-hmm.
have vision to see who is not already known. Usually, unless you got a big time celebrity that comes to you and they already see your work and they know what it is. But the main goal is making sure the main job for a publicist, usually traditional publicists, is making sure that you get above and beyond as many eyeballs as you can. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to make sure that people know what's happening with who or with what. And that's done through broadcast media, of course, social media, through all the different wire service, through lifestyle, because the number one form of publicity right now is lifestyle. We have to know who you are, what you do, to even buy into what you want us to get into, whether it is
Mm-hmm.
whether it is music or whether it is a product. Our job is to make sure in every way possible we market you, we brand you, and we put you in front of the audiences that we have agreed upon is where you should be or where you need to be to grow whatever business that is.
Whew. Man, better you than me, because that sounds like a lot of work.
It It is.
And
That's
now,
why you
so
gotta love it. That's why you gotta be a fan of like whoever it is and whatever it is. You gotta wake up thinking about them usually before they do, and
mhm.
coming up with ideas. It's a nonstop life of creativity. And okay, thinking like, what's different? What can we do that no one else has done? That because CeeLo told me a long time ago. He's like, look, you know what? The main thing is with me, I gotta do what hasn't been done before. Told
Mhm.
me that so a while ago, and I took a page out of his playbook and said, you know what, I'm gonna incorporate that into all the campaigns that we have. And it's really been working.
Yeah, the memorable stuff, like, that's
Yeah,
especially, like, the attention span gets so short that it's just kinda like you wanna do something that you're gonna be remembered for, so that's definitely
absolutely.
key.
Absolutely.
So for somebody who wants to get into the industry,
Yeah.
as a publicist, or even like I think now it's kind of hybrid. I think I saw on your website like new media, where it's almost like encompass of everything, which
Yes.
seems like there's just more jobs on your plate. For somebody who wants to get into this type of industry, how do they go about doing that?
Connect with a publicist, connect with a manager who you feel are on the same kind of like beat you're on. Your kind of vibe, your kind of style, because we all got different vibes and styles. So
Hmm.
connect, look, do the research, and campaign on them. Almost everyone that's a part of Echoing Soundz now, it was at least 6 months to a year before we really brought them on. I'm a big believer in the long interview.
Hmm.
And if you're not into it, don't worry about it because this is not for you.
Right.
There's no need for you to be over here with us because I know what it takes and I know how hard the industry can be. And it breaks individuals down, especially when you aren't prepared and you have agenda and you can be gullible. But if you sync with the team and you let us guide you and almost like basically chaperone you into
Hmm.
the industry, you have a high probability of lasting and succeeding in ways that you couldn't even imagine. So find out who's with your tribe. Okay, that's my tribe over there.
Hmm.
Those people over there, yeah, that seems like where I want to be. And that's really that's your initial guide. You got to team up. And a lot of times people are busy. They don't want to hear you. Keep going. Keep campaigning because that's your job anyway. I
Hmm.
know for a fact I hear so many no's. I'm gonna say pre-quarantine, when pitching like was at that level, like so many no's all the time. So get used to it, because the yeses are usually right on time and big, and you forget about all the no's. So whoever you want to connect with, whatever publicist, whatever manager that you want to connect with them, stay on them, show up where you see they're gonna be, go on their social media, they're gonna be at this event, show up there. Like, you really gotta get in stalker mode, because a lot of what we do, I mean, legitly, is stalking these journalists, these producers, and doing our best to persuade them into believing what they do not know. So
Mm.
it'll be a trial and error run for anybody that wants to get in right now. You got to do that work.
And so what's the difference? Because I know a lot of like my like acting friends and stuff like that, like kind of in the industry, but not quite there yet. What's the difference between a publicist and a manager? And what would you need first? Or do you need one, or do you need them both in tandem?
Depending on what it is, what the career is, but usually I always say you need a publicist first, because you have to make yourself attractive. You have to make
Mm,
people like want and desire and see value in you. And that's what a publicist can and will do for you. Make sure that people understand your worth. They're putting you in those places. They have you on those red carpets. They're putting you in the news. They're making people attracted to you. And so then usually the right manager will come to you. And then it's up
mm.
to that person to figure out, okay, cool, this person is for me. We are aligned in that way. But the publicist gives you the look, literally.
Okay. And then like growing pains, because like everything in life, we don't come out of the womb walking. So I want to assume you just who you are now is who you are back then, but I
Yeah,
know you
now
have some stories.
I
So
would
is there any one of the stories that where you like really learned like, okay, got it?
so many people. I think the part of the hardest jobs, like inside of like this world, is you build these artists up, you build talent up, and you get them to a level. And then once you have created all of these believers, a lot of times, because we're a boutique agency, a lot of times some of the bigger companies, they come and they take them. And
Mm,
initially, the talent is like, we together forever. You guys have trained me, showed me, got me there. But when that dollar happens, when that opportunity happens, and they're saying, hey, you want to stay over there and with them, or you want to come over here with us and we're going to offer you this, and this. And a lot of times they don't even have to pay out of hand, out of budget, like out of pocket. It's
mm,
a situation where that's eliminated because they have other partners that will actually pay into the campaigns, or they have teams and staff that are already on retainer, and so they take the talent away from us. So in a real like human place, it stings. That's part of the hard part, because what you've done. Like, this particular talent, like, they were sweating bullets.
mm-hmm,
They were afraid to do interviews. They were afraid to walk red carpets. They were even shy about going to different lifestyle events just to network and be in the mix, and how awkward they were in those prep talks that you had to have with them prior
mm-hmm,
to. And then, once we shed the light and people see, they're like, oh, yeah. And then they got like all of these offers on the table with all of these different brands and companies that have large teams that they don't have to spend, $4,000 to $6,000 a month with a campaign manager or a publicist to help them navigate through the industry.
mm-hmm. So is it because I remember watching I think is the Jasmine brand on the Breakfast Club,
Uh-huh.
and they were talking about how when artists in our culture are coming up, they come to the Breakfast Club, they hit all those brands, but when they hit a certain thing, you're not seeing them on these brands anymore. Is it also like a racial thing? Like, are all the bigger publicity firms like white, or is it just whoever has the money?
Um, whoever has the money. Sometimes I would say earlier on when I first got in, I felt more like that. But now it's really like who has the money and the opportunity, no matter what shade they are.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, the talent's like, oh, well, I might want to go over here. Rock Nation has this now for me, where they may have started with, a smaller agency, but it's like Rock Nation, they've got, management, PR, all these different lists. They're in with the movies, commercial, it's all of these different opportunities that
Right.
allow the individual to advance at the level that they could actually seize and have their dreams come true. It's like nobody can argue with that.
Right.
We can't and we don't. But the human element of connection still happens. And that's the disconnect where you gotta like, I don't know, maybe it's like a parent. I'm not a mom. But I could just imagine it's probably like, okay, you grown this, individual up and now they go off to college and you just gotta be cool with, even though you spent a significant time
Right.
training them, preparing them and getting them to a level that they actually, and almost every client we have, there's a certain level of insecurity that is initially there. So we do our best to make sure that that no longer exists once they transition away from like the brand, the company. They have tons, mounds of confidence of doing whatever it is, even with the talent, even with the iconic talent that they have. It just comes in the same box. The
Hmm.
talent and levels of insecurity, I really haven't seen, I've never seen it not both be in the same box before. And so what we do is we coddle that, we comfort that. So they able to go beyond what they have before they came with us. So, you
Yeah,
know,
that I mean, I totally understand when you're working on something and then it just kind of like, oh no, I'm good. I'm like, what do you mean you good? I just put in all this time. So I
all
get
this
it.
stuff. Yeah.
So how does somebody know as like an artist, it's time to get a publicist? Does like, so say if you like, do you see somebody and you approach them because you see they're on that level, or do they come to you, or how does it work?
For us, they come to us. I'm grateful to say in the 20 years that I've been in the business, I have not done outreach to, I'll say, like on the music end, to any artists. It's all word of mouth. And I would say, like, the artist needs to have their tools together if it's on the music end. They need
Hmm.
to have a couple unreleased videos. They need to have two or three, pieces of like music that's unreleased as well. Photo shoot would be great if they have that. And then they come to a publicist and say, okay, I got my tools. I'm ready to go. At least the initial standard
Hmm.
tools. And then from there, we create what's called a plan of action, POA, and it gives them an outline to follow along with us that we work on internally outside of the talent. But it gives them a way to see like, okay, this is what they're working on every single week for the next 60 days. And when those things have to be adjusted, then we alert the talent to like, hey, you know, this actually happened before the due date, or this is
Hmm.
a delay, but it really creates a healthy bed of communication with the artists, the talent, so they know what's going on because it's real life. So you make a lot of plans, everything doesn't happen when you want it to, but
Right.
if you have the structure there, at least you have um you can see, you can gauge where you actually are and you can make the adjustments without getting lost doing a lot of work that really isn't aligned with what the actual goal is because there's tons of distractions all the time. So you got to
Very
have
true.
something in place to keep you on track, to keep you as the agency and also with talent and management.
And now with that being said, we're getting out of COVID. I don't know what's happening. Wherever we are in the new
I don't
normal,
know either.
I
The
don't
new
know, it's
normal.
like the new normal. How did the industry change? Because I feel like for hosting, before the pandemic, everybody was so key on like it'd be way better for somebody to come in studio. In studio is like the best and everything like that. Now, it's just like, all right, can you just do the interview? And we like,
Right.
there's just so many more tools, and I feel like hosting and even radio jobs and all that stuff has become so much easier now. Like I have one friend who got a radio gig, but the gig is in like I think in Baltimore, but he lives in Tennessee. Like it's just so different now, but it's also breeded more jobs. So how has the pandemic changed in the public the PR world?
Well, in that respect, I really think it's been for the better. I've always believed that digital, as soon as digital came out, I felt like digital was the way. And I really thought it was unnecessary to be physically anywhere.
Right.
Um, unless, I mean, like performance, maybe for the artist, but like just in terms of like how we do business, I'm like, it's just photos and video. You have photos and video, what else is there? Like what, hugging people? Like what? It's no real reason to be physically with each other at all, because this does the exact same thing,
Right.
and a lot of times in a much faster way. Because like with a lot of talent, you would have these huge interview requests, but say it's like a artist or talent that's on the West Coast, but the huge request will come on the East Coast, and a lot of times the talent will request us, hey, see if they can hold it a month or two. We're going to do a huge media run in like 2 months. We'll do
Mm-hmm.
it, at that time. And it's like, okay, cool. You pitch that, you hope that sometimes it's a yes, sometimes it's a no. In 2 months, you know how the world is. They're off that. It's not even
Mm-hmm.
relevant anymore. They can't even fit it into like the dynamic of what they do. Or something happens with the talent where
Mm-hmm.
maybe the value has been depreciated or challenged in some kind of way, and now the interest is not there. But this way, digitally, people are able to get the interview when they want to get the interview. It's done faster. It goes right in line with whatever overall marketing campaign that's been presented, and it works. It really works. And I feel like, you know, talent is making even more money now because they can do more in a small amount of time.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like you saw with everybody, it's like you had some people's like, I'm not doing this. Like I put like comedy, for instance, like
Mhm.
the comedians who did the shows virtually, like some of them said, I'm never doing it again. But some of them, like to be still funny and do it virtually and interact with, 20 different screens, because I know the Laugh Factory was doing that. It's
Yeah.
like that's a whole nother
Ooh,
level. And if
yeah,
you could survive the pandemic, still make money, still book jobs, and still do like what you do,
more
like
job.
I feel like I feel like the pandemic really tested us. And it's like you either, make it work and adapt and
Yeah,
become funnier or figure out how to work it, or, you had a lot of people like, no, I'm just gonna wait until it's over. And
yeah,
I
what
mean, I
over?
don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, I know. I mean,
Or
and I have to refer back to E-40. He told me a long time ago, he said, "You know what, Echo, you gotta change with the times, or the times will change on you." And
mhm,
so, again, I've taken that and I live by that, and I'm really happy to see, like, this digital space, really be as successful as it is. I know for talent, like, again, the human connection is something about artists that want to perform and hear those yells and screams and that. But there is time and place for it. And
mhm,
when you going back to it a little bit, and unfortunately it hasn't been you know big success stories. We're dealing with like so many different artists that have had problems with these different like venues. And I just think it's a lot of trickery involved that
mhm.
we may not know all of the agenda, but it's being done to us in a way where they're like, yeah, no, y'all stay at home and just figure out a way. And I love live music, but I'm hoping like with all of these different things that all of these big companies are creating, that we will again create and have the opportunity for even bigger happy medium within live
Mhm.
performance and this digital space at home space, that and it may be in this metaverse.
Mhm.
We don't know, but I feel like something is
With
on the
some
way
combination.
to give
Yeah.
us the satisfaction and the fulfillment that we had before, in the physical. I feel like
Yeah.
something on the way for that. I'm looking
Yeah. I
forward
mean,
to
look
it.
at yeah, look at Versus. Like when it where it started to where it is
Yeah,
now is like insane.
yeah.
So yeah, and the metaverse, even though, part of me is just like, oh, this is
What we
we
doing?
brains in boxes. Yeah, we brains in boxes. Like we real close to that. And the other part of me is like, is exactly what E-40 told you. It's just like you either get with it or become, your 80-year-old grandmother, just
Exactly.
not wanting to bother
Outdated.
with it at all. Yeah.
Right.
So I
Gotta
totally
stay
get it.
relevant.
So last question before we get out of here. Where do you hope um the industry, like where do you see it going? And then where do you like what are your hopes for your business and your company?
The industry, um, I gotta be honest and say, like, I don't know where the industry is going, and I think there's a lot of excitement wrapped around that. Because things are changing, it seems like on a weekly level.
Mhm.
So again, I'm in it to be a part of the things that I think again are aligned for me, that work for me, and the things that do not, I'm even gonna forget about it or create a way that it does work for me and my business and my clients and everyone that we are connected with. As far as Echoing Soundz, the campaign management is there, but there are a couple of new things that we're going to do that I love to recap with you towards the summertime that are
Okay,
different
okay.
than what we've offered before. And I like to do some unveiling with you on that, like around July-ish time.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
End of July.
Okay. It's now I'm really curious. Like we like are you part of the whole metaverse thing? Are you going to be the entrance to the metaverse? Well,
Look,
I don't know.
no, but if they want to call me, we can work out something. Okay.
I mean, it's oh, that's a whole nother conversation itself. But yeah, maybe
Definitely.
I'll have to dive into that. But yes, let's definitely do that. Like I said, I really these conversations, like it's meant to entertain, but I also like I wish that I would have known different avenues for different things that I found interesting.
Uh-huh.
Because it's like I knew I couldn't rap. Like I knew, like, I was a good athlete, but I knew all the other avenues involved to still be part of stuff that I love. I might have,
Uh-huh.
may have been a different trajectory. So I really just wanted to like explore that because I wasn't even quite sure. It's like I kind of know,
What kind
in
of
my doing,
athlete?
I ran track. I ran track.
That's right.
I ran track, and I also played football for the Lingerie Football League.
What? At what age?
I was well out of college. I was well
Really?
out of, yeah. I
How
mean,
many
I did
years?
sports. I was also like a ringer for CrossFit. Like I held on to that sports.
Wow.
I held on to that athlete thing for a long time because, like, those sports like golf and soccer where you can play until like in your 40s,
Right.
provided you don't have any injuries, that
Uh-huh.
that would have been my goal. Like, it's like, can I just train and beat people up?
Right.
But
Right.
also
Yeah.
but at a young age too, I really loved Dr. Dre and producing. But coming from Canada, I had no idea like how to even remotely figure that out.
Right.
So it's just kind of like it's really nice now that I could talk to people and somebody else can watch this. It's like, okay, well, I don't have the talent, but I definitely love the industry and I definitely love people. This is an avenue. So
Absolutely. And you're doing
that's
so
definitely something I want
well
to
in it.
explore.
When did you discover, look, my last question for you. When did you discover your connection with people and having a gift with connecting with people and getting a good story?
Ooh. Um, I've always been nosy.
Yeah.
And I can ask like a million questions. But I think what happened was after university, I was still training, but I had no money. So I started personal training. I started a personal training company. And I got
Oh,
all these people, and still some of them I talk to today, some of my former clients, got all
okay.
these people. And when you're a personal trainer or any type of person, a nail technician, like I swear, like if anything happens to me, my nail technician can answer all the questions. Like she knows everything. So as a
Give
personal
her
trainer,
number and we're good.
I know, right? It's like she said she wants to release a book because she knows so many stories. But like everybody was telling me their stories because I'm the type of person who would like listen, ask questions. Like some of them would just pay me to just like I just want to talk. It's like, I'm not a certified
Mm,
therapist, right? And
mm.
then one of the people that I started training was a reporter, and he really said, you should think about kind of pairing the two. So that's how I got into
Wow.
hosting.
Okay.
And then I just find people interesting. I really do. Like if I have a moment,
Thanks.
and then you also have to be the person who wants to be asked the questions. Because sometimes people are like, well, why are you asking me all these questions? It's like, well, everybody comes from a different lifestyle and all this other stuff.
Exactly.
And then
Exactly.
being from Canada, and then living in America, I realized there's a lot of differences that I had no idea about. So when I finally got into like hosting and stuff like that, it was just
Mhm.
more out of curiosity. Like, you get to a point in life where you realize, oh, everybody doesn't take their shoes off at the door, or everybody doesn't use
Mhm.
a washcloth. Like I use a washcloth, but why don't you use the wash? Like I want to know those questions, like what makes people
Yeah.
tick.
Yeah.
So that
I
was kind
see
of
it. I see it.
my reasoning. And it's fascinating. Like everybody has,
It
like you were
really
saying,
is.
everybody has a story. And also getting into like diving into like psychology and stuff like that,
Mhm.
all the connections between childhood and how you interact now and all these things, like that's what I really enjoy getting out of like hosting and talking to people, because it's like there's a reason why you're doing this.
Mhm.
So now I kind of partner the whole psychology stuff into it as well.
Wow. You folded it
Yeah.
all into one.
I mean, I try. I mean, I do it. I do it so like it's so normal that like my friends are like, this is not an interview, right? But I was like, but so are you gonna answer the question or not? So here we are.
I'm with it.
But
Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
Thank you,
Yes,
TK.
thank you
I
so much.
appreciate it. Absolutely.
Now, do you know if the copy is gonna be double XL is gonna be digital as well, or have they give you kind of
Yeah.
details of where?
Yeah, definitely. It's online on Double XL, and then even today, I haven't, like I was saying, I have not seen the physical issue myself, but I'm going to Barnes and Nobles today and picking up a couple different copies of the magazine. My mom has it. She's already showing everybody in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm like, I don't even have a copy of the magazine yet, but I
Okay,
look forward to getting it. Again, thanking Double XL for the opportunity, the positioning, and Vanessa Sadden, my bostress over there. She the one, and I'm really, really grateful for it. And we're gonna do some
there it
big
is.
things this year.
Sounds good. And then for people who want to attempt to hire you, because I know you probably get a lot of questions and you're like, baby, you're not there yet. But
Right.
they might think they are. So, who want to hire you, want to kind of know the business, how can they contact you?
Contact me through, I just say like our Instagram, because it's manned by 6 different people in the
Mhm.
DM. And that's for Instagram, it's at Echoing Soundz. They're checking the DM constantly, at least hourly.
Okay.
So and they'll direct you in the right way.
All right. There it is.
Mhm.
Well, thank you for coming on, Miss Echo. Till
You are
June,
welcome.
where we
Yes,
talk about
yes,
the
yes.
metaverse and all that good
Yeah,
stuff.
July.
Until July.
We'll be ready
Um,
to unveil.
Okay, I'm excited. I feel like you have to tell me off here, but I don't think I'll get too much out of you. But thank you so much.
You're
Thank you guys.
welcome.
No problem. Thank you guys for watching. You can follow me on everything at TK Trinidad for all your episodes, all that good stuff. Till next time. Ciao.
Ciao.
TK Trinidad, let's talk about it, let's talk about it, hey. TK Trinidad, let's talk about it, let's talk about it.